Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Take. We are live in Los Angeles. I'm Carrie Champion. That's Skip Bayless to my left. Stephen
Mayor of Los Angeles.
To my right. I am the mayor. You can have San Antonio.
If you aren't careful,
can have South Beach.
I might have to push you in that pool.
Oh, what? You're going to put... Listen, I'm all right with going to the pool. It'd be nice. Obviously, there was a lot going on. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But good morning, gentlemen,
from LA. Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good.
I got to congratulate you before we get to what we're going to talk about.
Do it.
For months on end, you told me right here on this show, don't be surprised if LeBron James winds up back in Cleveland. And you knocked me out of my chair every time you said that. I said, there's no way. But there was a way.
Listen, before he even says that is true. You do deserve that. We were texting. I was like, he's going to Cleveland. And he's like, Stephen A's been saying it. Stephen A's been saying it.
It is what it is. It is what it is. I think it was a great thing. I think it was a great day for the game of basketball, to be quite honest with you. And we're about to discuss.
That's debatable.
All right. Well, we'll get to that in just a few moments. But again, we are here for ESPYs Week. So let's talk about briefly who we'll have on the show today. Lions wideout Golden Tate, who is a Super Bowl champion, will be joining us. Back by popular demand, Layla Ali. This is a smile to my right. This guy's happy about that.
Yeah. What's up, Curtis?
You are.
Hey, Layla Ali's husband. What's up, Curtis?
Hey, Curtis. How you doing? Yeah. And you know him as Turtle from Entourage. He also will be joining us here on First Take. But let's get right to it. Enough of that. LeBron James is coming home. There was speculation about where he would go. We know now he's going to Cleveland. He wrote a letter in part, a first-person essay, and it was in Sports Illustrated. Here is what he had to say. I always believed that I'd return to Cleveland and finish my career there. I just didn't know when. I looked at other teams, but I wasn't going to leave Miami for anywhere except Cleveland. The more time passed, the more it felt right. This is what makes me happy. Again, in part, it was a well-written essay. Stephen A., let me ask you this. You talked about it, but were you surprised the move actually happened?
I really wasn't surprised. My attitude was, I'm never counting out South Beach. I'm never counting out Miami. It's going to be hard for me to gather because, again, I told you last summer I'd been hearing it. Don't be surprised. I was informed to take it very, very seriously, that it was something that he was considering. But at the same time, even when I was on Mike and Mike Wednesday and I said, look, he's going to Cleveland, I couldn't believe those words were coming out of my mouth because I was like, look, and I'm not trying to imply I broke the story because I don't feel that way. Other guys were working on it or whatever. But I was just of the mindset that leaving South Beach? Really? Really? I mean, down to the 11th hour and 59th minute, I just said to myself, you know what? I'm not ruling out the possibility of Pat Riley finding a way. But as it got closer and closer, it's one thing to hear about he's home. He's happy to be home. He misses his friends, his family. He hated being a pariah, etc. But then you started hearing rumblings about how he, even in South Beach, for the greatest player in the world, he felt like, just a fish in a big pond. And he didn't feel like a big fish, even though he clearly was. He's the greatest player in the world. And that's not to knock Pat Riley or the Miami Heat organization. Please don't get me wrong. But it is to highlight the fact that there is Alonzo Mourning, there is Dwayne Wade, and then there's everybody else in the eyes of Pat Riley. Pat Riley is the man in South Beach. Pat Riley is the man in Florida. And, with the mama not getting the pass and complete unadulterated access to his friends, having to sit on the other side by the visitors' bench, court side because Pat Riley didn't want them near the bench, to Dwayne Wade, not being healthy and having to miss a third of the season. LeBron James, I was told when he had that meeting with Pat Riley in Vegas, that one of the things that, or rather before the meeting, when Pat Riley had his press conference, one of the things that he was upset about was that, he kind of felt called out. Like, don't jump and run. And LeBron had told folks, how many games did I miss? What practices did I miss, et cetera, because, again, it was a grand total of 17 games in 4 years that LeBron James has missed. The man comes to work. The man comes to.
So are you saying
part.
There was some spite involved here against Miami?
No, I don't think that. I don't think that it was spite. I think that the conclusion was foregone because in my mind, Skip, I wouldn't have heard about it last year if it wasn't serious back then.
Yep.
I'm simply saying that in the end, when you're the man and you're the king and you go someplace else and there's somebody else, and that man is Pat Riley, and he's the one that's running the show. If you look at every move LeBron James makes, one of the things he walked into these negotiations with is that he would be in complete control of his own destiny. Nobody's going to tell him what to do. Yeah, he got max dollars, but it's only for 2 years. Got a 1-year opt. You got the new TV deal that's scheduled to kick in. The cap
so he can get even more max dollars,
even more max dollars. Mm-hmm. So he manipulates the whole process, and he is about controlling his own destiny. And anybody who tries to do otherwise when it comes to him is going to end up in a losing situation. And that's exactly what transpired to the Miami Heat. That's not a negative against them because they didn't do anything wrong. It's just business and how Pat Riley runs his shop. But LeBron James is his own entity, his own corporation, his own conglomerate. That's how he views himself, and that's how he conducts himself. And that is why he is back in Cleveland.
I hear everything you just said. And I do think this is an all-time feel-good, big-picture story.
No question.
It's almost a fairy tale of forgiving, forgetting, and going home. I get all that. But the reason I remain shocked by this move, the reason I scoffed at the possibility of this move all last week on this show, sitting in this chair, not this chair, but the one in Bristol, is that I thought, mistakenly, that LeBron James was still all about chasing Michael Jordan's 6 rings and Kareem's 6 rings and Kobe and Magic's 5 rings and Tim Duncan's 5 rings and Larry Bird's 3 rings. And to me, LeBron James just gave up his shot at Mount Rushmore in a basketball sense. I'm sorry, because he just told the world he no longer views winning as his ultimate goal and priority. He has 2 new goals. He now wants to be paid for what he's worth as a basketball player, which he has rarely been. So he wants max dollars from his new team at every juncture of the CBA and the TV contract. I'm good with that. And he wanted to get his wife and his crew and himself back into their Akron, Cleveland comfort zone so that he could raise his now 3 kids back where he was raised. And I am great with that. But he said in his open letter, and by the way, I got to give a little credit to Lee Jenkins from Vanderbilt University who helped him script this. Yes. It was beautiful. It was powerful.
Yes, it was.
It was a tear-jerker. But he says in there that he's not going to promise winning a championship in Cleveland. It's going to be, to quote the letter, a long process. And he said it's going to be a longer process than it was in 2010 when he arrived in Miami. So now LeBron James, who I thought wanted to be the next Michael Jordan, just went from early Miami of not 2, not 3, not 4, 5, 6, or 7, down to I'm okay with 2, and next year we probably don't have a chance to win 1. We need to talk about the Kevin Love variable here. But given that roster right now, that team can't win a championship. LeBron knows that. So he just, for the sake of family and boyhood friends, obviously childhood friends, his crew, to get everybody back home, he just gave up the priority of winning. Because you and I sat here last week and thought he's going to rejoin forces with Carmelo Anthony, maybe in Miami if Bosh goes to Houston. And I thought, okay, maximize your shot at winning more titles, more rings. And all of a sudden, I heard Pat Riley challenge him, as you brought up, and said, hey, championship teams have all lost. The Magic's Lakers and Bird Celtics and Tim Duncan's Spurs, they all lost. But they didn't find, to quote Pat Riley, the first door to run through and run out of it. And LeBron ran out the first door, but in a beautiful move, a wonderful move, the door he chose to run through was to go home. So it's hard for even Pat Riley to argue with going home, even though he did run through the door.
Well,
but let me finish one last point. Remember, he ran through the door to a team run by a guy who obviously trashed him in an open letter. Maybe it was a knee-jerk reaction. But that man, Dan Gilbert, is now the GM of this team. He's the Jerry Jones of this team. And I don't think he's been very good at being Jerry Jones, just the way Jerry hasn't been very good at being Jerry in Dallas. And they just hired a coach who has never coached a dribble in the NBA. LeBron doesn't know this coach. So you chose to go back for this? Really? Really?
Well, first of all, let me be clear. I disagree with you on several points. I do understand your point when you talk about, you know, LeBron, MJ, because of the number that he chose to win. I get all of that. But in my estimation, and in the estimation of LeBron James and his crew, LeBron James has never tried to be anybody but LeBron James. LeBron James ain't trying to be the next MJ. LeBron James ain't trying to be Kobe. LeBron James ain't trying to be Magic. LeBron is trying to be LeBron. And I think that if there was ever a time to take him seriously, it's now. Because what he's showing you is that he has his own identity because he's doing things that nobody has ever done. And that's something that we'll get into in the days and the weeks to come as it pertains to the kind of impact
but
that he's having.
Beyond basketball.
But what I'm saying is it's all encompassing. Because basketball is going to be the conduit to identify everything else about LeBron James. LeBron James ain't playing basketball. LeBron James is a businessman, but nobody gives a damn because he's not on the basketball court for them to praise him. So the point that I'm trying to make
give one after he's through playing basketball.
But I'm saying, after he's through, but I'm saying basketball is the conduit to everything he's trying to pursue. The man has earned the right to be looked at as nothing other than LeBron, as opposed to somebody who's trying to be the next MJ or Kobe, somebody else. That's number one. Number two, Skip, I disagree with you on this point. I am not dismissing the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we could talk about this as the show and the weeks progress, but I understand that the Chicago Bulls with acquiring Pau Gasol and those guys, as far as I'm concerned, they've got an edge up. I still think Indiana's not a team to ignore, whatever the case may be. But LeBron James said championship. But he ain't going there to lose either. The Cleveland Cavaliers will be a playoff team. The Cleveland Cavaliers right now are easily one of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. That means at least a berth in the Eastern Conference semifinals, which means a potential berth in the conference finals, and who knows what could happen. And if you acquire,
I hope they play the Miami Heat along the trail.
And if you acquire Kevin Love, all right, that says a lot too. So let's not treat LeBron like he just went to go home. And even though, don't get me wrong, please understand, appeasing a wife, Savannah is
happy wife, happy life.
And by the way, she's earned it.
That's
because
right.
The one thing we talk about, all of these women out here and celebrate these people in reality TV and whatever the case may be. I don't know anybody more class personified than Savannah.
I'm with
Savannah
you on that.
Is special.
And so remember, Maverick Carter.
Right. Maverick,
when he
Rich
started
Paul,
his business, they put their offices in Cleveland, Ohio.
I understand that.
They never really relocated
They never
to
really
Miami.
relocated. Rich Paul is still in Cleveland, and he's the guy along with Mark Termini, Jimmy Jackson's former agent. Mark Termini's been gone for a long time. This man knows what he's doing. Those guys negotiated this deal. All I'm trying to say
how much influence came from those guys?
Well, in terms of Rich Paul.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
To get home.
A whole lot.
Okay.
Because, listen, Rich Paul is a guy, the name is climbing, whatever. The kid is smart.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing, and he knows LeBron. So the combination of all three of those things definitely resonate. And that's another subject that a lot of people in America have been afraid to touch on because they may not know along these lines. But one of the things that Pat Riley, some would say he made a mistake. Because, see, Pat Riley, that press conference, and I found this out, Skip, that press conference that Pat Riley gave, that was shortly after he sought permission to speak to LeBron one-on-one and was informed, you don't get to do that right now. You want to communicate, you communicate with Rich Paul. And Pat Riley had a big-time problem with that, according to my sources.
Think he spoke somewhat out of anger?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. So all of those things need to matter. In the end, though, what it comes down to is this. Yes, he's coming home. Yes, he wanted to be home. All of those things are important, and his wife and his family and being surrounded by people that you love, et cetera, because when he left, he didn't feel that way. He felt like people were talking behind his back. People didn't support him enough. People knew stuff that he didn't know, and it was very uncomfortable for LeBron that last year in Cleveland. So the Cleveland Cavaliers would do well to remember that this brother came home, and you would need to embrace him like family if you want to keep him around for the long haul. But in the end, I'm coming home also has to do with winning. Yes, he's smartly acknowledged. I know that we're not ready yet, but it doesn't mean that he can't get ready. And it doesn't mean that whether it's next season or a couple of seasons from now, This young
remember,
squad.
He's already played 11 NBA seasons.
That's right.
Just for the record,
but that's
he's played
him.
11.
No, that's him, which is what makes the move brilliant, because he didn't go with people his age. He's surrounded by young boys.
Yeah.
And so if you've got the talent and what you need is somebody to teach you how to get it done, then LeBron is in an ideal position. So you have to keep in mind that they're prepared, they're positioning themselves for the long haul, and it very well may end up that while nobody's MJ, 6 NBA Finals, 6 MVPs, unblemished in an NBA championship round, everybody else has lost in the finals. Magic, Bird, Kareem, Isaiah, everybody
That was Pat
has
Riley's
lost. Tim
point.
Duncan and everybody.
Sure.
So LeBron, you know, again, he's trying to be LeBron, and you may be right about the MJ thing in terms of nobody being MJ. But I'm not taking LeBron James out of the equation to be on the Mount Rushmore of the NBA. That is still possible.
I don't see it. I think he just diminished his chances. I think you would agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
Long run, because I think you just maybe gave up a couple of years.
No.
here.
What I'm saying to you is this. Even if it's a couple of years, but you're talking about Kyrie Irving, and if you acquire Kevin Love and you've got a crew that can win. Let's say, for example, you lose the next 2 years, but LeBron ends up, and Cleveland ends up winning 3 or 4 more championships. If you end up with 5 or 6 rings, you're not on the Mount Rushmore? I think you are.
Okay.
I think you
that's
are.
A big if you just spat out.
Well, again.
3 or 4 more rings in Cleveland. I think he wants to win 1 ring in Cleveland.
All I'm saying, well, first of all, nobody wants to win 1 if they know they have several.
But, I mean, I
left.
think that's his goal.
But the point that I'm trying to make is that, Skip, I understand you look at the West, and you're saying there's nobody in the East that can mess with the boys in the West. But my point to you is that in the Eastern Conference, Cleveland's an instant contender. Now.
Okay.
Now.
But
I just don't think they're championship because I don't see them winning in the West.
I agree
but
with
in
that.
the Eastern Conference, they are a contender right now.
Yep. Okay, let's talk about Kevin Love. Again, Golden State offered a pretty big package for Kevin Love, and we talked last week how Flip Saunders has taken over as the coach, and he wants to make a little bit of an early splash with Kevin Love,
right.
And he turned down, what was it, reportedly Klay Thompson and Harrison Barnes and David Lee, right?
And David Lee, and they were willing to take the contract of Kevin Martin,
Okay.
And they just wanted the number 13 overall
That's
pick.
a pretty good package you said no to.
That's right.
I'm not sold on Andrew Wiggins as a superstar in the NBA. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it. I didn't see it last year at Kansas. He had a nice first Summer League game, but I learned a long time ago, you better not read much into Summer League games.
Right.
My point is, I would be shocked if Minnesota would take Andrew Wiggins straight up for Kevin Love. I'd be like, really? You did that?
They wouldn't. It would most likely require a third team because they're going to need significantly more than Andrew Wiggins. The only reason why Andrew Wiggins' name is relevant is because if you're Cleveland, you can't talk to Minnesota about getting Kevin Love without giving up at least Andrew Wiggins. Okay. That's the only reason his name is relevant.
All right, I'm going to make 2 last quick points. To me, this is my read of it. LeBron James just lost an NBA Finals by a record margin. So he took a beating there. His psyche took a beating because that was his team more than it was obviously Dwayne Wade's team. Now, you can point the fingers at Bosh and Wade and Mario Chalmers all you want. But I still thought LeBron didn't play up to his potential either in those 5 games. So he fell to 2 and 3 in his 5 NBA Finals. And he was, again, fortunate that he is not 1 and 4 because of one of the greatest clutch shots I've ever seen by Ray Allen. But that's a whole other story.
Yes, get over it.
But he is 2 and 3.
Right.
And to me, he said, okay, I've had enough of chasing rings here. If I have to start over a little bit with a young team, I'll start over. I'll sacrifice a year here. And to me, in the biggest picture, he sat back and said, okay, I'm willing to do it with the young team, like he called himself the old head on the team. So my point to you is, how soon am I going to hear from you, LeBron just doesn't have enough help? Because I don't want to give him that anymore.
No.
Not enough help. He chose to go here now, right?
Listen. Stop creating. See, this is where you get.
But I just wait. The clock is ticking toward LeBron doesn't have enough help.
Let me tell you where you get slick. Because you're trying to create dilemmas to refute. Nobody said
I'm heading off at the pass.
Hold on. No. You're trying to create dilemmas to dispute. Nobody said, oh, LeBron is going to use the excuse. They're too young. Excuse me. He said he's going there. Listen, you can't do. That's not fair. The fact is that, listen, LeBron James, I will never, ever let go of the fact that he didn't show up against Dallas. That's the bottom line. I don't even count Cleveland losing to San Antonio years ago. I mean, come on now. Please. That team against those San Antonio Spurs, no way. To my eyes, LeBron is 2-2 in the NBA Finals. I don't even count that series against Cleveland. Okay? I mean, Cleveland and San Antonio. But my point to you is this. When you look at it, Skip Bayless, you've got a young crew. Kyrie Irving can ball. And I'm looking at a guy, if you're able to get Kevin Love, if you're able to do something like that, anything can happen. In the end, you're a contender within the Eastern Conference, and you keep bringing up all of these guys. Magic got swept in the NBA Finals. I'm just saying. Yeah. But I'm saying these guys, the fact that LeBron, damage to his psyche. Wait a minute. Bird lost in the finals. Magic lost in the finals. Isaiah lost in the finals before he came back and won 2 NBA championships. It happens. This didn't happen to Jordan.
Quick. If the night before the NFL draft, you had told me that next season I will watch every Cleveland Browns game and every Cleveland Cavaliers game,
you're lying.
I would say,
no way. No way,
no
sir.
way.
All right, look,
Are you kidding? And I will watch every one of those games.
We got to get out of here. We talked about this last week, just the possibility, the 07 roster versus the 2014 roster for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, this is a real deal now. We'll talk about the roster and LeBron being there. And coming up next, Stephen A. again. Congrats on this. Saturday broke the news about Melo. It was supposed to be his time to shine. He was supposed to be this big free agent. What was he going to do? Was he going to leave Hollywood or Broadway? Melo is staying in New York, and we want to discuss his heart, what he really meant. We're putting him on the couch after the break. We're live in Los Angeles for ESPY's week. Thank you for joining us on First Take.